So, welcome to the Advent of Code, this time day 2, part 2 of the year 2021, yes. Essentially, we have now just a slightly different condition. So, instead of having different depths and horizontal axis, we have an extra value, which is aim, and every time we read uh, a command, we may change the aim or change the horizontal axis and the depth. So it's just a slightly more complex version of the previous part. And in fact, it's so similar that I prefer to simply copy part 1 and have just the same as part 2, and then I can simply modify it to adapt to the case that we have. Notice that now to invoke it, I could just replace part 1 with part 2 here, but I prefer to have both of them, and I have part 2. And then there is the small problem that since I'm reading a file iteratively, I have this for line in fr, the first function this invoked will consume the whole file, so the second one will not see new lines because the file is only one, is already opened, and I have to basically reset the place in which we are in the file. So we have a sort of bookmark in the operating system. So what I do is between the two I do fr.seek 0, which means go to the beginning. Otherwise I can just reopen it with another with block, but there is no reason to do that. Now what we have to do, first of all, we have an extra variable which is called aim, and aim, the problem says, starts also with 0. So simply at the beginning I have an extra value which is aim. I have the depth, the horizontal axis, and aim. Then the commands are the same because the file is the same, so we just get the same data. In fact, this part could have been done in a sort of helper invoked by part 1 and part 2 as well. Then what happens is that when I have up, the problem says that when I am up, the aim is decreased by v. So aim here is decreased by the value v. When I go down, I have exactly the opposite situation, so I just say aim is increased by v. And when I go forward, is a bit more interesting because the horizontal movement is the same, hor is increased by v, but the depth changes by how it's increased by the aim multiplied by the value itself. So basically it's a diagonal movement if we imagine this graphically. And that's it. This is the solution. So it's just a small modification of part 1. Now, and then it asks, of course, to return the multiplication, so nothing changed here. And now I can simply run, and I get two values. The first is part 1, and the second is part 2. And this is the solution.